Hey, good evening, everybody. We've got this, of course, tragic news of the boat that sank in Missouri. Let me bring up the maps and we'll see what happened there. There's the Wikipedia article. Let me shrink this down just a little bit. Let me check that my sound is good. Okay, it looks good. So, yeah, this happened in Missouri. And what caught my eye is they said on the news that the storm came out of nowhere. Okay. Well, anyway, 31 passengers aboard, 17 deaths, and we're going to take a look and see if it really was a storm out of nowhere. Let's take a look at the radar, or the satellite. Let me bring that up here. And this will take us up to Kansas. Let me take a quick peek there in chat, see how things are going. Yeah, long time no see. Yeah, I've taken a break since June 20th to kind of get focused back on my programming and book writing. Of course, meteorology books, those are going to be on weathergraphics.com. I've got some various forecast books you can check out. Anyway, let's look at the storm here. So we're looking at Missouri, or we're looking at Kansas. We're going to go back to yesterday, and this is going to be about 9:30 yesterday morning, and what you'll notice is up here, right there in northern Kansas, we can see a few storms starting to come together up there. We're looking at infrared imagery here, and you can see those really get going north of Concordia about, it'd be right around 2 p.m. And then those storms move eastward, cross over into Missouri right there, and the boat location is located right there. And then those storms come right up on Table Rock Lake. That's going to be right around 7 p.m. So these storms had been going on for about 8 hours. Let's check out the radar and see what that showed. Okay, there we go. There's a look at the radar at 6:01 p.m. And the boat sinking location there on Table Rock Lake, I went and looked very carefully where that is. And it's not where that says. It's actually right in this area right here. So we're going to focus in on that part of the lake. And what we see here starting out, there's a little boundary there south of Interstate 44, but the main outflow from the storms is located right there. That's going to be the dominant feature there. And then, of course, the updrafts are all in this area right here, and then downdrafts on the backside right there where we have that preset. So let's roll that forward, and we can see a couple of TVS indications indicating strong rotation, and also a bow echo structure right there. So these things are already looking pretty strong there. This is going to be about, let me bring up the time here. Okay, that's going to be about 6:14 p.m. So the boat location is right there. And we can see that outflow boundary surging southward very rapidly. See that right there? Let's get a movement on that, and what we'll do is we'll zoom in. We're going to go back to about, let's see, this is about 6:40. I'm going to put a mark right there along the leading edge. And then we're going to run it up 20 minutes. Okay, so that's going to be about 19 minutes right there. And I'm looking at the distance on the bottom. Let me show you where I'm getting that. Yeah, you see right down here, that gives me the distance from that mark. So the movement in 20 minutes is about 12 nautical miles, so that's about 36 knots. So that's surging southward pretty quickly. That's going to be about 40 to 45 miles an hour. And this is being driven by this big outflow dominant cluster of storms up there coming down from Branson, Springfield, and Interstate 44 there. So we'll zoom in very close on Table Rock Lake there. And this is going to be about 6:53 p.m. There's that outflow boundary right there. And just due to the speed of that boundary, there's a very strong likelihood there's going to be high winds behind that. And you can see it sweeps right over that boat location right there, just about right on the hour. This is 6:59, and that's 7:01. So I would put that at about 7 to 7:01 p.m. So there it is going across. And let me get a spot movement of the boundary right there. We're going to do about a 6-minute motion to kind of get an idea of the speed on that. And we're looking at about 4, almost 5 nautical miles there. So 5 times 6, that's going to be about 30 knots there. So very strong outflow. And what we can also do is we can look at the velocity. So the velocity just shows a lot of very strong outbounds right there. And this is a ground relative motion of about, looks like the max is up to about 60 to 70 knots. One problem is that the cursor above Table Rock Lake is at about 3,000 feet. And that's going to be a little bit too high to sample that outflow boundary. All right, so we don't get a whole lot of help with velocity because we're that far from the radar site. But we can see that the basic cloud motions are on the order of 40 to 60 knots, which is pretty strong. Also, what we can do is we can switch this to storm relative velocity mode, and we can get an idea of where the stronger values are really standing out there. So let me put in a motion of 40 knots there. That'll kind of subtract out some of the forward motion. And the idea here is to kind of see where the higher clusters of high wind stand out. Okay, so this is going to be about 5 minutes before it hit the boat there, and you can see this stronger enhanced area of strong winds, indicating a little bit of a surge right in that area. Also another one right in this area, and that's driving these outflow boundaries right there. Okay, so there's a couple of very strong outflow dominant storms there coming up on that location, and looks like this one here. Let me try that one more time. Okay. Trying to get the drawing tool to come up there. Okay, well, it's not going to work. Anyway, you get the idea. Pretty strong pool of winds there. We'll just check out echo tops real quick. Looking at about 35,000 on these cells here, and an even stronger one out to the west there, topping out at about 42,000 feet. And I can go ahead and show you the satellite. Let me pull that up here. Pull up the visible imagery. In fact, I got one that's a little bit more zoomed in than that one there. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, you can see those storms there coming in from Kansas, some new development southeast of Kansas City there. And then there's that line of storms coming into Springfield. This is going to be about 6:12 p.m. And then that's the frame right there, 7:02 p.m., where it crosses the location of that boat there. So it shows some pretty good overshooting tops right there. Trying to get my pen working here. Okay, there it is. Overshooting tops and the main anvil canopy right there. Anything else to look at? I think I've got a little bit of yeah, I've got some observations here. This is KFWB. That's going to be the airport at Branson. And this is the observation sequence for that location. And basically, these are the older observations, and then the newer ones are up here at the top. These times are Universal Coordinated Time, UTC, so you got to subtract 5 hours. So it looks like earlier in the afternoon there, we were looking at clear conditions there, winds light out of the southeast, and then as we get up here, this is where the storm is coming in. And there's where it starts reporting thunderstorms, and then there's the wind at 6:55 p.m., 350 at 27 knots, gusting to 45. So that's going to be right around 51 miles an hour, that gust right there. Peak wind, nope, don't see a peak wind, but that's going to be it right there, 45 knots, and then the winds start dying down at about 20 to 25 after. All right. And let's see, I thought I had some observations. Yeah, I do right here. This is going to be about 6 p.m. and this just shows you the plots there, storms going through Joplin and gusting up to 33. And you can kind of see the outflow pool. See that right there? Got the meso high located right there. Outflow, given that divergent appearance to the wind field. Very cool. So that's what you would want to analyze if you were doing a meso analysis. Of course, the main active portion of that located right there with those storms heading for Table Rock Lake. So we're looking at the weather there. This is the evening of July 19th. And yeah, there was one more thing I wanted to cover, the warnings. Well, already we know from radar that there was plenty of warning on this storm. So let's go back to the radar, go back to the beginning, and plot the warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings. There it is. This is the first one at 5:45 p.m. for the I-44 area. And then as the storms move south, a new severe thunderstorm warning for those counties. And then for the boat location there on Table Rock Lake, there it is right there. That comes up at about 6:32 p.m. And let me find that bulletin. There it is, 6:32 p.m. Severe thunderstorm warning for Stone County, which is where the boat is located. 6:31 p.m. Okay, so you can see they've got 28 minutes of warning. Locations impacted, Table Rock Lake. So if they're saying storm came out of nowhere, I'm sorry. I've got news for you. There was plenty of warning on this. 60-mile-an-hour gusts and damage to roof sidings and trees. Precautionary information there. So anyway, there you go. Severe thunderstorm warning for the lake location, and we'll take one more look at that storm. This is probably what knocked over the boat right there, the very high winds behind the south flow boundary. And then later on, the rain arrived. This is going to be about 7:12 p.m., about 12 minutes after the first outflow boundary came through. So very black, ominous sky right there. The main rain area located right there. And I would actually expect the winds possibly to die down for the most part, maybe picking up a little bit near these cells. However, looking at the gradients, you see that gradient right there is kind of weak. So that's an indication that there's probably not a whole lot of wind right there. I think the main impact was back in here. At that point right there, just after 7 after. So the rains came through and then things cleared up around 7:23 p.m. So it took about 20 to 25 minutes for these storms to clear out, and then a little bit of light rain back behind that. All right, so that's the recap. That's pretty much all I wanted to show. Wanted to make sure you all got a look at that. Let me take one quick look at chat. Justin Pulliam is here. Yeah, the heat, we're going to be up to 109 to 110 in the DFW area tomorrow. Lows around 83 to 84. So we've definitely got the heat. It's kind of like 1980, that big heat wave that we had back then. Mick there in Australia, hello, and Mr. Manlet, long time no see. Chris Tyne, Mr. Manlet reporting nasty tornadoes in Iowa. Hello to David Moore and Greg Porter. Accident 45 minutes from his house. Okay, Mr. Manlund reporting there on the MCS. Justin Pulliam likes the webcast. Greg Porter mentioning right around the Springfield area, winds were gusting up to 74 miles an hour there at, looks like, the airport. Gust front flipped it over. That's a question from Red AVN. Yeah, pretty much at that point right there. This is when very high winds impacted that boat area right there, and that probably capsized it right at that point there. Okay, so that was a quick one. I thought about just recording that and posting it later, but I thought y'all might like it as a live show. And yeah, we're going to be back. We're trying to figure out how to put the webcast back on. It was too much of a commitment, and I really had to take care of the business, programming and writing and all that to pay the bills, and that's pretty much what I had to focus on there. We're going to come back to the videos maybe here in several days. We'll see how things go. 111 in Knox City. Saw some high temperatures out in that area. Wichita Falls got 111, at least 111. And Seymour, Childress, Altus, all that hovering around 110 also. Okay, so hopefully, yeah, this will get posted to YouTube, and it'll probably get some views then. And for those of you who see the webcast, certainly subscribe to this channel, and we do these kinds of informative briefings kind of often. You can learn a little bit about weather that way. So that's probably about all I've got. Thank you all for watching, and take care, and we will talk to you next time. Bye-bye.